Hello and welcome to another Demis Hellen tutorial. Today we are looking at creating a pluck synth and I'm going to go through just a little bit more detail on the relationship between certain features of a synth. We're looking at Massive today and we're going to look at the relationship between the envelope and the filters, because that is where really the pluck synth comes into its element. It's not just about shortening down the notes and making them stabby, it's about combining different features, and the main one is the filter. So we've got a new sound here and we're using the Take My Hand melody. If you haven't seen the video of creating this, you can see that now on screen, and this track should be released by the time most of you watch this video, so the link will be in the description, or it will appear. So the relationship between the envelope and the filter. So we're going to put a low pass 2. And we're going to turn that resonance down. So we just have an EQ sweep. So we've just got like a low pass going through till it cuts off so much you can't hear a damn thing. And that is the only control you have. And that is determined by this envelope, which is the master envelope, envelope 4. In Serum it's envelope 1, which is the master one, but they all have a master envelope. And it's the relationship between the attack, decay, release, and sustain and release. So in Massive it's called level, but it's sustain. And this is how slow or fast the sound starts, how long its duration is, how long the duration of the volume is. Is it going to start from full volume and curve down to that volume, or is it going to stay full maximum volume? And then your release is how long that note takes to stop. So the longer you leave the release, you have this, or you have this. So that is the very basics of using the envelopes. So how do we make these envelopes create a pluck? And the answer is set your cutoff to low, use envelope 1, and then we attach it to here. So you can see by this 1 it's attached. I'm going to increase it to the maximum volume. So now envelope 1 is controlling that cutoff when the cutoff is at that level. So instead of automating the cutoff knob to filter it in, we are going to use one of the macros, and that will mimic turning up that cutoff. Okay, and what's happening essentially is when you turn the cutoff up, you are using the envelope 4 data, sorry, to determine what the sound is doing, and envelope 1 starts coming into effect as soon as you start releasing this volume down. So the cutoff, as the low pass is sweeping across, this envelope is coming into play, and this is what shapes the sound. So when it's this low, if we mimic envelope 4, so look, they're near enough identical apart from the decay time, and the release is the same, we have this effect. There is no difference. We're just sweeping up and down, nothing happening. Let's just name that filter so you can see what it is. And what needs to happen is we shape envelope 1 for when the volume is off. So this should be filtered off now, but it's not. And that is because we've got everything set to maximum. Just reducing the sustain gives you a noticeable difference. Decay, noticeable. Release is not going to do anything because it's too short. And it depends on the sound you're making. If you're going for something that is more like Flume, you'd have that, and obviously a very slow melody compared to this, because this is trance. There is no limit to what you can automate. So we have now got a pluck sound. And then when we filter it in, we've got envelope 4 giving us that full maximum sound that we've set it at. Envelope 4 controlling the filter. Okay, so then you can control how much of the filter cutoff is applied. I set it to about 9 o'clock and then work around that. So that is the basics. So let's start developing a sound. So we have here, we're going to have a PWM on there. Oscillator 2, let's have something different. Let's pick a digital hybrid. Let's start with guitar pulse. So I've just soloed it. I like that. So this is going to be the body. So usually I use what is the main power drive of the sound in oscillator 1. Then I use the body as the second one. Then the third one is just auxiliary for taste. And in this case, we'll use saw 2. And we'll pitch it down 0.09 if it will let me move it. 0.08, 0.09 to give it a little bit of detune. Okay, so we've created a little bit of width. And that is the sound design done. Just have that there. And we're going to jump into voicing. So the voicing tab gives you control over the unison and the detune. So let's put it up to 5. Sounding pretty good. Just compensate the volume. And what we're going to use is the unison spread. And we're going to use this pan position here, which gives it like an inverted sound, so obviously make it full width. So at the moment it's pretty mono, straight down the middle. So let's add some detune. That's too much. So let's just have a little flavour about there. So we've had a little bit of flavour in there, and then we're going to use this pan position and just listen to how it changes. Suddenly it fills your headphones. So if you've got headphones on, replay that section if you was listening to it on a laptop speaker. It's basically taking it from mono and giving you 2 phase options. Okay, so it's given a nice wide sound, and if you're still not happy with it, hit the oscillator tab and then you can control the phases of the individual oscillators again. So we can make them thinner again if we wanted to, or take one out of the current phase it's in. So that's gone more mono again. So you can hear it. But that's all to do with basses and stuff. That's where I kind of use that phase section. All right, so that is everything for the voicing tab. And we have the start of our sound. Sounds really nice. So we have options now to automate many different parameters. And for example, we could add some resonance in with this filter. So when it's fully in, it's down, and then when we turn it down, let's just do it the opposite way, so then when it gets turned down, it disappears. A bit too much. Just to give it a little bit of flavour. And then what I'm going to do is reduce the level of the envelope and how high on the filter it gets. Sounds much nicer. And then what we can use is, I always tend to use this velocity tool here, and I add that onto the cutoff. This is where Pluckstar's magic happens. But what it can do is change the velocity of the sound. So let's just have a listen to it now. So it's like an extra cutoff idea. Or you can have it fade off really low. If you have a bit more control. Sounds really good. Okay, so we've added some of the basics in there. Let's add some reverb. I'm going to put the colour fully up, the density, size, and then we'll control this dry wet. Okay, and what we're going to do is remove some of the low end. And let's put a bit of delay on there. So we'll put delay synced. Let's have 3/12. turn that down, dampening up a little bit. Okay, that's enough. So we have the starter to our Pluck synth there. Sounds really good. Let's just compensate the master volume again. Okay. And then this decay is determined by the length of the notes here. So they're all pretty short, and I have to leave it like that because of the swing. So that'll do. That's probably the best you're going to get from that sound, from that MIDI preset, shall we say. And we've created our first Pluck synth. So that is the basics. Then you can go into more detail by adding some inserts on. You can choose where they come in the sequence, and you can use these modulation oscillators here as well. So if we just have a quick look at these, we can set phase of oscillator 1. Add a bit more FM punch. And we could add some ring modulation to number 2 or number 3. There's only subtle differences. Or we can change the position. And that is more related to the intensity, the wavetable position and intensity settings that make that work to its best. So you can add these and you can modulate these. So like when that filter's in, you can have, let's just make sure it's selected, phase 1. Then have that fade out. But we are going into too much detail here, and I've obviously hit something here. I'm just trying to work out. Ah, that's why. Because all the oscillators are turned off. Give it more power there. Apologies for all that confusion. And then you can go a little bit softer, but it also helps give it a little bit more punch. So you can see without the phase on oscillator 1, it just gives it a little bit more click. And yeah, we'll leave it there. So that is the Pluck synth design. Very simple. From there, it's just a case of tweaking. You have so many more options here to make things really, really smooth, soft, make it stabbier. We've gone for the stabby approach here, and it sounds okay. It's, I wouldn't say it's the best synth I've ever created, but if we was just to drag and drop some ideas. We'll just reduce the volume here. It's usable and it can be tweaked, obviously. It's not going to fit in this track ever, but that is how the Pluck synth works. So we have looked at how to work out the relationship between the envelope and the filter. I hope it's made sense. If it has, let me know in the comments, and let's see what we can do in the future for tutorials. So thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, hit like and also hit the subscribe button. Two videos a week, so why not? And hit the bell icon so you know when I've uploaded them. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.